ॐ वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यम् श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यम् तं तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यानस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। अपार करुणा सिन्धुं ज्ञानदं शान्तरूपिणं श्रीचन्द्रशेखरगुरुं प्रणमामि मुदान्वहम्। यत्कृपालेशमात्रेण पुमान् पूर्णः प्रजायते तं वन्दे ब्रह्मविद्धुर्यं सद्गुरुं चन्द्रशेखरम्। संसारसागरनिमग्नजनोधिधीर्षुः यो वातरच्छिवनृसिंहगुरुच्छलेन जाड्यान्धकारहरणं करुणासमुद्रम् तं दक्षिणास्य मनिशं हृदि भावयामि। सदात्मध्याननिरतं विषयेभ्यः पराङ्मुखम् नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातं चन्द्रशेखरभारतीम्। साक्षात्कृतं दयानन्दं परमार्थस्वरूपिणम् तत्त्वज्ञानप्रशास्तारं प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्तगोचरं तमगोचरम्
सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्तगोचरं तमगोचरम्
गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्।
गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्।
आदौ नित्यानित्यवस्तु विवेकः परिगण्यते
आदौ नित्यानित्यवस्तु विवेकः परिगण्यते
यहामुत्र फलभोगविरागस्तदनन्तरम्
इहामुत्रफलभोगविरागस्तदनन्तरम्
इहामुत्रफलभोगविरागस्तदनन्तरम्
क्षमादिषट्कसम्पत्तिर्मुमुक्षुत्वमिति स्फुटम्
क्षमादिषट्कसम्पत्तिर्मुमुक्षुत्वम् इति स्फुटम्
क्षमादिषट्कसम्पत्तिर्मुमुक्षत्वमिति स्फुटम्
ब्रह्म सत्यम् जगन्मिथ्येत्येवम् रूपो विनिश्चयः
ब्रह्म सत्यम् जगन्मिथ्येत्येवम् रूपो विनिश्चयः
सोऽयम् नित्यानित्यवस्तु विवेकः समुदाहृतः
सोऽयं नित्यानित्यवस्तुविवेकः समुदाहृतः
तद्वैराग्यम् जुगुप्साया दर्शनश्रवणादिभिः
तद्वैराग्यं जुगुप्साया दर्शनश्रवणादिभिः
देहादिब्रह्मपर्यन्ते ह्यनित्ये भोग्यवस्तुनि
देहादिब्रह्मपर्यन्ते
देहादिब्रह्मपर्यन्ते
यानित्ये
यन्ते भोग्यवस्तुनि
भोग्यवस्तुनि
चत्वारि साधनानि कथितानि मनीषिभिः तेषु आदौ नित्यानित्यवस्तुविवेकः परिगण्यते तदनन्तरं वैराग्यं या जिहासा जुगुप्सा वर्तते भोग्ये वस्तुनि वैराग्यं या जुगुप्सा तद्वैराग्यं दर्शनश्रवणादिभिः वैराग्यं वैराग्यस्य हेतुः विवेकः वैराग्यः अपि कस्यापि हेतुः भवति कस्य शमस्य तत्र साधनचतुष्टय सम्पत्तौ प्रथमः विवेकः द्वितीयः वैराग्यम् तृतीयः शमादिषट्कसम्पत्तिः तेषु प्रथमः शमः we are discussing the fourfold qualifications which are indispensable for a spiritual aspirant to pursue Vedanta and gain jnanam and therefore moksha. Without sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, the knowledge cannot be received or grasped as it is without any obstacles. Assimilated cannot be assimilated. So, meaning the antakaranam, the mind, should be pure enough to understand the tattvam, the truth, so that the knowledge gained would be free of pratibandha, the obstacles, any doubts, clarity in knowledge. The knowledge should be free from vagueness, free from doubts, free from this habitual errors. That knowledge is the knowledge. Knowledge with obstacles is as good as ignorance. So therefore, since the pramanam shastram reveals the knowledge, being a pramanam, any pramanam for that matter reveals the knowledge, reveals the object, reveals the knowledge of the object, and the knowledge of the object is true as the very knowledge itself. So therefore, for example, as we operate our eyes to see the objects and gain the knowledge of color or shape of the object. So too the Shastram is a Pramanam, operating which alone we get the knowledge of Brahma Tattvam, Brahma, which is the cause of this Jagat, and that is not different from you. So the truth that you are Brahma, the Jagat Karanam, free from any sort of limitations, that limitations can be of three types, three kinds. Deshataha in terms of space, Kalataha in terms of time, and in terms of objects, Vastutaha, Desha Kala Vastu. Therefore, only a samsari feels himself to be limited, finite, subject to limitations, subject to samsara. Samsara is nothing but the notion of being limited. Aham limited means aham apurnaha. I am not complete. Aham apurnaha. I am incomplete. So wanting to be complete. That is why he pursues so many things in life. Finally discovering that anything he may accomplish that would not give him the fulfillment what he aspires for all through his life. All through his life, in and through all the purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama. He has to understand that the purushartha is moksha, and that is in the form of knowledge. And the knowledge is free from obstacles, any kind of pratibandha in the form of doubts, errors, habitual errors, vagueness. So that knowledge, to gain that knowledge, certain preparations are required, and that is the topic. So sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, that is the eligibility, the fourfold qualification, and that we have seen that karma yoga and upasana and other sadhanas, they help in gaining the required preparedness for receiving and assimilating the knowledge which the Shastra reveals, in the absence of which knowledge cannot be firm. So therefore, what are those qualifications? We have seen yet sattve, yet sattvam, yadabhave, yadabhavaha. In the presence of which the qualifications, moksha is possible. Otherwise, no. So therefore, the pratama sampattihi, the first wealth, they are called wealth, fourfold spiritual wealth, is vivekaha. Clearly understanding what is nityaha and what is anityaha. The clarity with regard to permanent and impermanent things, that is vivekaha. And viveka born vairagya, objectivity, dispassion, dispassion for anitya vastu, having ascertained what are anityas, anitya vastu, and therefore not developing any raga or even dvesha also. Both binds a person, therefore not having any passion, therefore being dispassionate, being objective with regard to bhogya vastus. Bhogya vastu, the objects of enjoyment. That could be in the form of objects or situations or people, it could be anything. Absence of vairagya increases dependency on other things, other objects, depend of the people. Therefore, vairagya should be backed up by viveka. Then that vairagya, backed up by vairagya, then shamaha, that is the third qualification. Third itself has got six qualifications. Shama adi shatka sampattihi. The third one is shama adi. Adi means etc. So shamaha, damaha, titiksha, shraddha, uparatihi, samadhanam. There are six inner wealth also is within the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. We have shatka sampatti, sixfold spiritual wealth inside that also. So, therefore, the third qualification, among the third qualification, the first one. The third, we have 6. The first one is Shamaha. So that is the next topic. What is Shamaha? We have seen up to the Shloka number 21, now 22. What is Shamaha? That Acharya says, Shamasvarupam Braviti Virajya iti. The nature of Shama, Acharya Braviti Kathayati Virajya. Shloka begins with the word Virajya. Ranjidatu B Purvaka Lyapratya Virajya. Having got Vairagyam. So therefore it is the resultant of Vairagyam. Shamaha is the resultant. Vairagya should result in Shamaha. So let us read the Shloka. Virajya Vishaya Vrathat Dosha Drishtya Muhur Muhuhu.
विरज्य
विरज्य
विषयव्रातात्
विषयव्रातात् दोषद्रष्ट्या
दोषदृष्ट्या
मुहुर्मुहुः
मुहुर्मुहुः
Swalakshe Niyatapastha Manasa Shama Uchyate.
स्वलक्ष्ये
स्वलक्ष्ये
नियतावस्था
नियतावस्था मनस्य
मनसः
शम
शम
उच्यते
उच्यते
Vishaya Vratat Virajya B Purvakar Ranj plus Lyap. From that only Raga, then Viraga, Vairagya is derived. So Vishaya Vratat, Vrata is Samoha. So Vishaya Samohat. Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha iti Vishayaha. Shabda sound, Sparsha, Sparsha, Sparsha is touch. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa is form. Rasa, taste. Gandha, smell. So these fivefold sense objects are there. The mind should be withdrawn, detached from this Vishaya Vrata, from this group of sense objects. The mind should be detached. Vishaya Vrataha. And sense objects means there's so many sense objects that sense objects must be having either one of them or more than one or all of them. So therefore, Vishaya Vrataha. Vishaya Vrataha, the mind should be detached. How is it possible? That is possible only by dosha drishtya. It has got dosha, which the objects, sense objects which are known through sense organs, shotra, tvaka, chakshu, by ears, shotra, tvaka, or by skin, or by eyes, or by nose, or by taste, tongue. The sense objects are known, perceived. Those sense objects are endowed with defects. Dosha drishtya. What are the defects? Those objects are not permanent. They are not permanent. And it creates, the sense objects creates bondage. Bandhakatvam, they binds the person. Person will be longing for the enjoyment of sense objects more and more if he develops taste for that. Therefore, without which he can't live, it creates bandhakatvam. And enjoying those sense objects will not give him the satisfaction also. Therefore, he will always be unsatisfied, no satisfaction. Atraptikaratam, always wanting more and more. And also, the sense objects always do not give pleasure. The same sense objects can become a source of pain also, mixed with the pain. Pleasure mixed with pain. Dukkha mishra tattvam. Therefore, these are endowed with these doshas. These doshas defects. That is why we say dharma, artha, kama. These three purusharthas. In fact, this is what is called Vishaya Vrata, the incidental goals of life. This dharma, artha, kama. They are sadosha purusharthaha. They are purusharthas, human goals, but they are sadosha purusharthaha. They are with defects, defective human goals. Therefore, that is a human goal which is free from defect is moksha. That moksha alone is the goal. That is knowing that moksha is the only goal. That is the nirdosha purushartha. And in and through all the purushartha, that is what a person aspires for it. Understanding is what is called purushartha nishchaya, ascertaining the purushartha, what I want in life. So therefore, dosha drishtya muhur muguhu again and again, seeing the defects and withdrawing from them. So dosha drishtya muhur muguhu repeatedly means one has to remind oneself again and again all the time. The sense objects are not permanent. They are incidental, they are temporary, they have the nature of binding and giving not satisfaction, and also it is not only pleasure, it is also mixed with the pain. Therefore, knowing which, seeing the defects, and therefore virajya, withdrawn, detaching. Why it is required detachment? Then only the mind can be focused on the pursuit. Then only the mind will gain the focusing capacity. Then only the person will focus on the priority of life, that is moksha. Moksha is a priority, everything else is secondary. Everything else should subserve the moksha purushartha. Moksha is the goal, the end. Everything else should subserve the means. So, even the sadhana chatushtaya sampati is the means, that is not the end. The fourfold spiritual qualifications which are gained by sadhana, karma yoga, etc., these are the means for the end. Our goal is not to gain sadhana chatushtaya sampatti alone and stop with that. It is meant for moksha. All these are the means. The goal is freedom. So, therefore, having withdrawn the mind from the Vishaya Vrata, from the Vishaya Samoha, from the multitude of objects, sense objects, seeing the defects in them again and again. Swalakshye niyatavastha. That is important. Focusing swalakshye, swasya lakshya. What is the lakshya? Lakshya is moksha. For the purpose of moksha, that is the goal. The goal in the form of discovering one's purnatvam. Aham purnaha, discovery of the inner fulfillment, purnatvam. The inner security, that is what is called moksha. So, niyata avastha, swalakshe niyata avastha. Swalakshe, swalakshyam, that is moksha, is the lakshyam. So, niyata avastha, remaining in the avastha, in the avastha means the condition, the goal, and the goal is moksha. So, niyata avastha, ascertaining or being firm in the pursuit, the moksha, for the purpose of which the mind is withdrawn from all the vishayas, having understood the Vishayas are binding, creates bondage. That is called Shamaha. Manasaha Shamaha Uchyate. That mind which is detached from Vishaya and focused on the goal, which is moksha, that avastha of the mind, that niyata avastha, that avastha which is conducive for the pursuit of moksha, that avastha, that condition of the mind, the capacity of the mind to focus on the goal is what is called shamaha. Shamaha iti uchyate. It's a beautiful definition. Two things are pointed out. Virajya Vishayavratat Virajya Katam Dosha Drishtya, by seeing the defects, and Swalakshe Niyata Avastha, having withdrawn from the Vishayas and being focused on the goal, which is moksha, that is called Shamaha. It's a clean definition. Shamaha Kaha, we have seen Tattvabodha. Manasaha Nigraha, Mano Nigraha, managing the mind, mastery over the mind, that is called Shamaha in simple words, we can say. But here Acharya beautifully defines, Shankaracharya, Vishayavratat Virajya Dosha Drishtya and Swalakshya Niyata Avastha Manasaha Shamaha Uchyate. Focusing the mind on the Swalakshya, that is moksha. Moksha is the Lakshyam, is the goal. Lakshyam Sadhyam, that is the end. That is the end to be gained. So therefore that end, the gaining the end, moksha, the mind should be prepared for that. So that condition, that niyata avastha of the mind in gaining the goal, by withdrawing from the vishaya, the objects, samuga, vishayavrata, the group of multitude of sense objects. It means the sense organs should be withdrawn. Sense organs function only when they are backed up by the mind. Therefore, the mind is withdrawn from them. That is called shamaha. Now the commentary. Adyantavatva bhaguvitta vyaya ayasa sadhyatva parinati virasattvadi doshan. It's one word, it's a compound, big word. Adyantavatva bhaguvitta vyaya ayasa sadhyatva parinati virasattvadi विरसत्वादि दोषान् पुनः पुनः विषयेषु पश्यतः पुरुषस्य तत्र वैराग्यं नियतम् इति विषयदोषदर्शनं वैराग्यहेतुः इति पुनः पुनः विषयेषु again and again vishayeshu in the vishaya, in the objects, sense objects. The person has to see what doshan, defects. And there are other words. It's a big word, compound. Adyantavatva, adi anta. Adi is beginning, anta is end. So vishayas have a beginning and an end. Vishayas are not permanent. They are ephemeral, they are finite, they are temporary, they are incidental. Adyantavanta kaunteya. Agamapaino anityaha tantatakshasva bharata iti. Gita Bhagavan says. So they are of the nature of beginning and ending. It means they do not last forever, they are not permanent. And Bhaguvitta, and those vishayas, the sense objects, the objects of enjoyment, they are of the nature of beginning, arrival, and anta, ending. The status of coming and going, and they are gained by Bhaguvitta Vyaya Ayasa, by Bhaguvitta Vyaya. Spending lot of money, one has to gain those vishayas, and also involve ayasa, effort. Huge amount of effort is involved Sadhyatva. It has the status of being gained by huge effort and spending lot of money, and that is the nature of coming and going, arriving and departure. And also it is parinati, keeps changing, doesn't remain the same. Any sense object, any vishaya. Suppose you buy a car, which is one is for it is a means of transport, useful purpose. Other one is for luxury, and that is spent lot of money is spent luxury purpose if you buy. So and also a lot of money and effort is involved, and it is doesn't last forever. After some months or years, it will give problem. Therefore, and one day you have to dispose it of, and it is continuously changing. Therefore, parinati is not going to be the same, and it doesn't have any rasa, the taste for them also, the interest for them also changes. Therefore, virasatvadi. All these dosha, the defects should be seen again and again in the Vishaya. The one who sees Pashyataha Purushasya Tatra Vairagyam Niyatam Iti. The Vairagyam, the dispassion, the detachment becomes firm for the person. Vishaya Dosha Darshanam Vairagya Hetuhu Iti. Vairagyam is a Hetu for seeing the defects in the Vishaya. So Vairagya was the previous qualification, and because of Vairagya, the Vishaya Dosha Darshanam, seeing the defects in the Vishayas, that is, results in seeing the defects of the Vishaya. Vairagya Hetuhu, Vairagyasya Hetuhu, the Vishaya Dosha Darshanam, Vishaya, the objects, Dosha, defects, Vishayanam Dosha, Vishaya Dosha. The Vishaya Doshanam Darshanam, seeing the defects in the Vishayas, what are the Vishayas? The objects, that which you enjoy, which you experience, they are endowed with the defects. And that is the hetu, that is the hetu for vairagya. Vairagya se hetu is Vishaya Dosha Darshanam. So Acharya already has defined what vairagyam is. He says vairagya se hetu, the cause of vairagya is Vishaya Dosha Darshanam, seeing the defects in the Vishayas. Therefore, the person is detached, vairagyam, dispassionate, is objective. It doesn't color the object with his fancies, with his wish. That is called raga, dvesha. So that is the hetu of the cause of vairagyam. Now, tasmincha, vairagya sati. When that vairagya is there, then manaha swalakshye sagune nirguneva niyatam avatishtanam nischalam nirvikaram bhavati iti. मनोनियत अवस्थारूपशमस्य वैराग्यजन्यत्वम् आह विरज्य इति. That is why since tasmin vairagya, when that vairagya is there, then manaha, then the mind, swalakshye, in its lakshya, in its goal, that is sagune and nirguneva. But it is sagunam brahma, nirgunam brahma, whatever it is. Niyatam avatishtanam, firmly established in that, then manaha, mind becomes nischalam, and nirvikar, mind becomes nischalam, is it will not be fickling, chala ragitam, nischalam, and nirvikar doesn't undergo any change in the form of change, means that the mind undergoes based on the mind is nothing but vritti. So when the mind comes into contact with the sense objects to the sense organs, therefore mind undergoes changes. That is, when a mind sees a pot, there is gata vritti, there is a pot thought. When he sees a mata, there is a mata vritti, there is a thought of mata. So similarly, any vishayas it sees, the mind develops accordingly that thought, vishaya vritti. Therefore, mind keeps on moving from one object to other object. That is called vikara. That is will not happen if the mind is focused on its goal. Therefore, nischalam nirvikaram bhavati manaha. Then manoniyata avastha rupa shamasya. This niyata avastha, this condition, the form, the restriction of the mind, the status in which the mind is restricted, the form of this, the mind, that is, which is restricted to its goal. That is what is called shamaha, shamasya, and that is born of vairagyam, vairagya janyatvam aha. It is born of vairagyam, and acharya, therefore, he says virajya. Virajya is vipurvaka ranjudhatu lyap pratyaya. So, therefore, lyabanta, lyap pratyaya is used. This is technical grammar thing. Tatra lyapa uttara kalikatvasya bodhanat vairaga janyatvam bodhitam bhavati. Shama is born of vairagya, and that is indicated by the pratyaya lyap. Virajya, vairagya, having withdrawn. That is vairagya after uttara kalikatvasya means it's after vairagya. Uttarakalikatvasya. So Vairagya precedes and Shamaha succeeds. Means Shama is born. Shamaha is management of the mind, mastery over the mind. That is born of Vairagya. So mastery over mind is after Vairagya. Therefore Uttara means after. Uttarakalikatvasya bodhanat. How by the word, by the pratyaya, lyap pratyaya added to the ranjidhatu, vipurvaka ranjidhatu, therefore virajya, bodhanat, therefore shama is enjoy the status of being born of vairagya. Vairagya janyatvam bodhitam. It is bodhitam, it is understood, it is that vairagya, born of vairagya is this shamaha iti. Therefore, vivekat vairagyam, viragat shamaha. Vairagya etuhu is Vishaya dosha darshanam. When once the mind understands that Vishayas are defective, then mind will not go after it. It is withdrawn and focused on its goal. That avastha, mano avastha, niyata avastha, that avastha, that condition of the mind, and it is restricted only to its goal. That avastha Rupam is what is of the mind is what is called Shamaha, and that is born of Vairagyam, Vairagya Janyatam Aga by the word Virajya. Then the Acharya talks about the next qualification in the Samadhi Shatka Sampattihi, which is Damaha. The third qualification, the second one, Damaha. Damam Rupam Nirupayati Vishayebhyaha iti. Damam Nirupayati. Damam Acharya ascertains what Dhamma by saying Vishayebhyaha. The verse, the shloka begins with the word Vishayebhyaha. Vishayebhyah paravartya sthapanam swasvagolake.
विषयेभ्यः
विषयेभ्यः
परावर्त्य
परावर्त्यं
स्थापनं
स्थापनं
स्वस्वगोलके
स्वस्वगोलके
Ubhayesham indriyanam. So, Ubhayesham indriyanam. So that's a mistake. You can see that E should be before Nakara. Here we can understand that we don't, our mind will not see the mistake sometimes. It should be here. Ubhayesha. No, it's, I think it's correct only. Sorry. Ubhayesham indriyana. Yeah. Sorry, Kshamita. It is correct. Ubhayesha. Ubhayesham. Ubhayesham Mindriyanam. Indriyanam. What I said is correct only. Ubhayesham indriyanam. It should be here. Ubhayesha. This is, Ubhayesha mean
And
this.
Makara should be Halanta if it is there, Ubhayesham.
Yeah, Ubhayesham, then Indriyana. So this, there's a printing mistake only. Yes. So you have to understand Ubhayesham Indriyana. You can understand Ubhayesham. It's not a Sandhi, just a Melana.
Yes.
Okay. Ubhayesham Indriyanam Sadamah Parikirtitah.
उभयेषाम्
उपयेषाम्
इन्द्रियाणां
इन्द्रियाणां
सदमः
सदमः
परिकीर्तितः
परिकीर्तितः.
One more stroke will come. Ubhayesham Min and E. Therefore, this is correct only. Ubhayesham E. And here one more E is missing. Ubhayesham Indriyana. Indriyana, there is no Indrayana. So one more E is missing.
Yes.
That I think we can, even if it is not there, our mind will read because we know Indriyana.
Yes.
Sadama Parikirtitaha. What is Dhamma? Shama is disciplining the mind, mastery over the mind. What about Damaha? Damaha is mastery over sense organs. Indriyana Paravartya Vishayebhyaha. Indriyanam Paravartya Vishayebhyaha. Vishayebhyaha Paravartya Sthapanam Swasva Golake. Ubhayesham Indriyanam. That is, sense organs generally they flow towards sense objects. Paranchikani Vitranat Swayambhuhu Parang Pashyati Nantaratman. Bhagavan has created that sense organs are naturally extrovert. He has made like that. We cannot tell why. In fact, he has made because so that we can gain the knowledge of the Vishayas. The sense organs, they are generally extrovert. They can perceive the external sound, external taste, external smell, the shape or color of the object it can perceive, or the touch. That is how the sense organs, jnanendriyas, are made. Even karmendriyas also. The karmendriya, the hasta, or the legs, etc. All those karmendriyas, the five karmendriyas, pancha jnanendriyani, pancha karmendriyani, the five sense organs of knowledge and five sense organs of action. So there also, all these are made extrovert naturally. Now what is Damaha is sense organs which are naturally extrovert and they are after sense objects. Now these are turned away from sense objects. And that is called Damaha. Having withdrawn the sense organs from these sense objects, Swasva Golake Stapanam. The sense organs are they are withdrawn and placed in its own original places in the respective physical part itself. The eyes, for example, is withdrawn and is placed in the very Golaka in the eye itself. Similarly, ears also is withdrawn. It means they should not be after sense objects. They should be withdrawn. Withdrawn means there is how it is withdrawn physically. Physical withdrawn. This physically withdrawn means it doesn't go physically. They are very subtle. Eyes see and eyes has got certain range up to that it can see. So it should be withdrawn. Means it should be disinterested with regard to seeing and enjoying the forms or objects of the objects. Similarly, ears also should not be after hearing something pleasant which it likes, should be withdrawn. So I'm placing it in their own physical part. So Indriya means, okay, here, Golaka and Indriya, the difference must be understood. Indriya means they are not physical organs. Indriyas are not physical. They are the capacity or the power of the gross, the power of the gross sense organs, what we see. They are also called by that name. We say ear is one sense organ. And ear also, physical ear also, it is called ear. And the perceptual power of the sense organ ear, which is hearing, that is also called indriya. So the physical ear is one thing, the physical ear, and the perceptual power of the ear is indriya. Physical ear is golaka. The golaka is physical part, physical sense organ. So eyes, similarly, the physical eyes, that is called golaka. All the sense organs, the physical sense organs are called by the name golaka. And the capacity of the sense organs, the perceptual power of the sense organs. Eyes can see, the seeing capacity. Ears can hear, hearing capacity. That is called by the name Indriya. So Indriyani is Indian referring to the capacity, the power of the perceptual power of the sense organs. And Golakams are physical sense organs. So Indriya, the power is in the physical sense organ, and the power, because of the power, the sense organs, they are functional. Otherwise, Golaka, a physical part will be there. But Indriya, the functioning aspect of the functioning aspect, which is the Indriya, is missing. For example, ears are there, but the person cannot hear, deaf. Why? Because there is no that hearing capacity, that perceptual power of hearing is not there. Indriya is missing. The capacity, the functional capacity, which is subtle, is missing. That is called Indriya. So, therefore, withdrawing the sense organs and keeping in their own places means Indriya's physical sense organs are there in its own place. Then what do you withdraw? The perceptual power of the sense organs, that is Indriyani, that is withdrawn. Not the golakam, not the physical sense organs. Physical sense organs do not reach the sense objects. Only the subtle sense organs, which are called by the name Indriyani, that alone perceive the sense objects. Therefore, the Indriyani should be withdrawn. Need to understand the difference between these. Golakas are not withdrawn. Golakas are, they do not have any contact, physical contact with the sense objects. Golakas. Among the Golakas, only the physical contact is only for the nose, because the smell comes and enters the nostrils and the smell, similarly the tongue also. For ears and eyes, there are also physical, the eyes have got a capacity, a range, within that it can see. What I mean is, eyes do not go and become and touch the sense of the share, the object to see it. Similarly, ears also, being what it is, in its own place, it can hear what is happening around within the range. Of course, it has to come into contact with this sound when it can hear. And the contact also subtle. But in the case of taste and the taste, it is very physical. And ganda also, it is subtle. That smell, the subtle, it is sukshma. So therefore, whatever may be the type of sense organs, the power, the functioning capacity of the physical sense organs lies in the subtle sense organs, and they are called by the name Indriya. Minus Indriya, the physical sense organs are just a physical part, non-functioning physical part. Eyes are there, but cannot see. Then it is just a golakam. The sense that it's Indriyam, Indriya is missing. Therefore, Swasva Golaki Indriyanam Stapana means withdrawing the sense organs, the perceptual, the power, the capacity, the faculty of the sense organs, it is withdrawn and placed in its Golaka, in this physical part, in the very aperture itself. It means withdrawn. The sense organs are not made to interact with sense objects. Golakam is not the problem. Indriya is the problem. Problem means it is problem for a mumukshu because he is not interested in knowing or having contact with this sense objects because he is wants to because he is committed to his goal moksha. Therefore, sense organs, contact with the sense organs can take away from the person, from the goal, from the path. Therefore, withdrawing from withdrawing from the sense objects which are not conducive for the spiritual pursuit. That's for the goal. That is the withdrawal. Not withdrawing always. Suppose when Shravanam happens, the ear should be with all ears. No, one should be with all ears to listen to the Shastram. That should not be withdrawn. When listening to some bad words or unnecessary nonsense things, then it should be withdrawn. Ears are there, but I'm completely unaware of that. I don't want to hear it. That is what is Damaha is. Similarly, I will see only that which is conducive for my pursuit for moksha. Other things I will not see, which are distractive. So therefore, not being so active in social media, distractive, because they distract me from my goal. Therefore, Vishayebhyaha paravartanam. Indriyas are generally paramukhi, goes out. Paravartya, having brought them back, and sthapanam should be placed swasvagolake in its own, the physical part, aperture, having withdrawn from the sense object. What indriyas? Which indriya? Both karmendriya and jnanendriya. Shabdas, that is Shotratvak Chakshu Rasana Grana Indriyani, Jnanendriyani. Tadvat similarly, Karmendriyas also, Asta leg, Asta hands, then leg, then the two physical organs at the bottom, and then tongue also. So these are the sense organs of action. Pancha Karmendriyani, Pancha Jnanendriyani. And Acharya says, what are they also just mentioning that? The withdrawal of that is what is called Damaha. Damaha iti parikirtitaha. It is known by the word Damaha. So Damaha therefore is mastery over sense organs. Mastery over mind is Shamaha. Mastery over sense organs is Damaha. And Acharya says, Manasaha Vishya Vichara Samarthya Satvat Swataha Eva Virajya iti Uktam. Manasaha Vishaya Samarthya, Vishaya Vichara Samarthyatvat Swataha Eva Virajya. So in the previous shloka, when he defines Shama, he says Virajya, because mind itself has a capacity of doing Vichara of the Vishayas. Swataha Eva. Mind is independent, but sense organs are not independent. Sense organs, they function only backed up by the mind. Therefore, Acharya, when he defined Shama, there he says Virajya, having withdrawn. Because Vishaya Vichara Samarthya Sattvat, because of having the Samarthya, the capacity to enter into the Vishaya, the mind has got the capacity. Swataha, it can operate independently, doesn't require any other support. Therefore, Virajya iti Uktam. Whereas here, Bhagyendriyanam, Shotradinam, Jnanakarananam, Bhagyendriyas, that is Shotradi, Shotra, Chakshu, Choksha, then Shotram, Tvaka, Chakshu, Rasana, Grana, iti Jnanendriyas. Similarly, Vagadinam, Vak is speech, Asta, then the leg, Pada, then two more sense organs at the bottom, all the physical sense organs, all these are Karmendriya. They are Swataha, Tatra, Samarthya, Abhava. They cannot operate independently of its own. They are backed up by, only when backed up by mind, they can operate. So, Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas, they cannot operate. Eyes cannot itself can go and perceive by itself the Vishayas, the objects. It has to be backed up by the mind. Mind should be there. Some people they sleep with eyes open, but they don't see because the mind is not there. Therefore, for visual perception, the mind should be there. Similarly, for hearing, the mind should be there, backed up by the mind, the sense organs function. Therefore, samarthya abhavat, in the absence of mind, they cannot function. Therefore, they are not swatantra, they are aswatantra, they are dependent on the mind. These sense organs functioning depending on the mind. Therefore, pragraha sthaniyena manasa. Therefore, mind can be compared to the rope, the reins of the chariot. So the reins is held by the charioteer, and chariot has got horses, and they are compared to the sense organs. Therefore, pragraha sthaniyena manasa ashvasthaniyanam bahirindriyanam, the five sense organs are compared to the five horses. Shabdadi Rupa Vishama Margebhyaha, Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa, the sense objects, they are compared to the Marga, the path, the road in which the chariot travels. If each sense organs go after each sense organ goes after each sense object, then what will happen? The chariot finally will end up in disaster, will end up in accident, and it will not reach a destination. The chariot will the chariot along with the charioteer, it will finally get destroyed. Self-destruction. Therefore, paravartya. Therefore, the sense organ should be withdrawn. Paravartya, parangmuki kritya, swasva golake, in its own swasva golake physical part, karna shashkuli vadanadi desheshu stapanam. Karna shashkuli is the ear robe, and vadana is the mouth. So therefore, placing them in their respective part means withdrawing. That is the idea. Withdrawing, placing them in their respective part means withdrawing, not allowing the sense organs to go out through the golaka, the physical part. Uparata vyaparata sampadanam yat saha damaha parikirtitaha. That uparata vyaparata sampadanam. Vyapara is transaction. Therefore, uparata means stopping, pausing, cessation of the activities which are performed by the sense organs by contact with the sense objects. That cessation of those vyapara, accomplishment of the cessation of the activities is what is called damaha. That is stopping the sense organs from interacting with sense objects uselessly, unnecessarily. That is what is called damaha iti parikititaha mana adinam pragrahadi rupatvam Kathopanishadi uktam. In Kathopanishad it beautifully said, and we have seen, they are compared to a chariot, that chariot imagery. Atmanam ratinam viddhi shariram ratamevatu buddhim tu saratim viddhi manat pragragamevacha. Indriyani hayanyagu vishyagus teshu gocharan iti margan ityartaha. That is, Atma is compared to the Rathaswami, and the Sharira is the chariot. Buddhi is the Sarati, the charioteer. So Rathaswami is Atma, Buddhi is the charioteer, and Shariram is the Ratha. And Manaha is the rein, and Indriyani are the horses, Ayan, horses, Shabda, Spasha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, five horses. And the Vishayas, the sense objects, are the roads. Now, if the sense organs are not controlled or not managed by the mind, and the sense organs are connected to the mind, and the reign of the mind is with the Sarati. So all these are connected to the Sarati, the Buddhi. Therefore, the sense organs are not controlled, and what will happen? It will go, each one will go in one path, one direction, and mind will lose the rein. And if the buddhi also doesn't hold the rein of the mind, that also it gives up this world, then the Ratha will collapse, destroying the Ratha Swami, the master of the Ratha. So it's a beautiful imagery. Therefore, here Acharya says how the sense organs, how the mind, the mastery of the mind and the mastery of sense organs is depicted by the chariot imagery of the Kathopanishad. So by that, Dhamma is defined. Dhamma is mastery over sense organs. Next comes Uparatihi, that we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
धन्यवाद जी.
धन्यवाद जी.
धन्यवाद.